Hello, welcome to Billy's Books. Today we're going to do Bottom of the 33rd. It's the story of the longest baseball game ever. Welcome to Billy's Books. Today we're going to do Bottom of the 33rd. This is a baseball book about the longest baseball game, professional baseball game ever played. It was in 1991. It was the Pawtucket Red Sox were the home team, and they were playing the Rochester Red Wings. It wasn't just in 1981, it was Easter of 1981. The game had started the night before, the Saturday night before, but even so, it started a half hour late because the lights weren't working. So this very, very, very long game already started with a delay. Okay? So it finally got on, and they went on and they got a tie game. They got to the ninth inning, and they keep going. Here's some just notes I have. Bottom of the 33rd, the morning of Easter. And 33 being an important number related to Easter. I think that's kind of interesting. Jesus! Anyway, so a couple of the key players you might recognize in this game are Cal Ripken Jr. and Wade Boggs. They are, I think, each on one of the teams. Wade Boggs is a Red Sox, obviously. So the whole book is, this book is really just for baseball fans, right? So, if you're not a baseball fan, there's no way you're going to enjoy this book. I could be wrong. It tells, or maybe you'll grow to like baseball more or less. Baseball has its tragedies as well as its glories, and if you're in minor league team like a Pawtucket Red Sox, then, or actually technically they're supposed to say Pawtucket. So being a AAA minor league team means both hope and despair, because there's the guys in their younger 20s are all hopeful and that they're going to get up to the majors. The guys in the late 20s are concerned they might never make it, and the guys in their 30s, they're just like they've accepted. Most of them have accepted very sadly that they're not going to make it to majors, but they still want to be. But they still play baseball, and that's good because hopefully they enjoy it. One of the things we know about that is that Wade Boggs is a hard worker, or was a hard worker. His batting practice, he would do it separately from everybody else. He was so weird, he wouldn't even let his bats touch other people's bats. There was during this game at one point, Boggs on third base and Koza on first base, they went for a pop fly and crashed on the mound. The pop fly fell from one of their gloves into the other. Ow! So that's good. The place itself in Pawtucket was called McCoy Stadium at the time, named after Mayor McCoy, who had done a lot for the town. In the 19th century, it had been a recreational pond that was very nice. You can see, Victorian pictures of people skating and stuff like that on top of it. And then it fell into waste and became a swamp. And then for a while they were storing stuff. For a while the town was just using it to store, snow plows and stuff like that, big stuff like that. When they eventually started trying to build a stadium, McCoy inspired to that, they kept on, it was like not quite a sinkhole. They kept on people's boots would sink into the concrete, would disappear, I-beams, trucks. They called the whole thing, trying to build a stadium in that swamp, McCoy's Folly. He finally managed to get the cornerstone 2 days before his re-election. As for these carping critics, let me say to them, this stadium will bring pleasure and happiness to the people of this city long after they have returned to the dust whence they came. In July 1942, the city of Pawtucket threw a celebration for the completion of the stadium that its mayor had all but willed into existence. No matter that the project had cost $1.5 million, more than the construction of Notre Dame's considerably larger football stadium, more than the assessed value of Fenway Park. No matter that its steel fencing and other finishing touches were installed in apparent violation of a federal ban against using vital war materials for non-essential products like baseball parks, no matter they had the feel of floating on an invisible swamp rather than being nestled into the earth. The dugouts, for example, were not dug out, but built into grandstands, so the first row of seats began several feet above the field. At the ninth inning, the usual end of a baseball game, the Rochester Red Wings were ahead 1-0, and the different little guys like Bat Boys or whatever had the hot meal waiting for the end of the game because it was a cold April night in New England. Brrr, time for this game to end. Almost there. But then, wait a minute, at the bottom of the ninth, the Red Sox also scored a run. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone to 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, 31st, and 33rd. One of the players on the Red Sox, Luis Aponte, goes home early. He gets permission to go home early because he's already pitched. But when he gets back, it's so late that his wife won't let him into his house, and because she thinks he's been cheating. I love that. One of the more haunting things about this book, that I haven't really addressed the feeling. So this book sort of tells the stories of a bunch of different characters. It tells the stories of the baseball players, some of the ones that have hopes, some of them that don't have hopes. We saw a couple cool plays here and there, but most of it is like stories of some of the guys that aren't going anywhere. We hear the story of the Bat Boy, the manager, people like that who are around, and it's pretty interesting. But it's also kind of sad, it's sort of the humdrum existence of people most of the people are not going to make it to the majors. So it has that melancholy vibe mixed in with the love of baseball and just the absurdity that, some people wanted to go home but they wouldn't let it. Oh, so the reason this all happened is that normally, the umpires wouldn't end the game, and the guy goes, but that's the standard, that's the tradition, after so many innings or whatever, you stop. And the umpire in charge, he's like, well, that's not in these new guidelines that were just published, so we're going to keep going. And it just drives everybody crazy. It's interesting. You learn a lot about, a small New England city, and you learn about baseball, and you learn about the past. I don't know if I can recommend reading this book unless you are a baseball fan. So if you're a baseball fan, it's going to be interesting. Maybe not if you're not. Anyway, if you can't do a review.